It might have been sarcasm. Call the Broken Arrow Special City Council meeting to order. Roll call.
Green.
His chair's stuck.
There you go. Just say here.
Are you here?
Here.
Ford.
Somewhere.
Here.
You look so cute in that little chair.
Parks. Gillespie.
Here.
Wimpy.
Here. First item is public hearing appeals presentation, recognitions, and awards. Item 3A, presentation and discussion of the results of the 2024 Citizen Survey and possible acceptance of the results. Aaron Mittal.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Mr. Spurgeon, Harry McCullough, Director of Communications for the Broken Arrow. We'll go back here just a little bit, about a month and a half ago, whenever we had the citizen survey that we put out to the public. It was open for about 31 days, basically through the month of February. It's going to be a leap year. We actually had one extra day this year. So the survey got a tremendous response from the community.
My top investigator.
What exactly did Paul?
You're going to hear a little bit more from Polko. This is the company that we used for the survey, for the National Community Survey. And Brandon Barnett is the data scientist that has been just a fantastic colleague, somebody to work with. I've learned a lot as far as surveys go. And he's going to talk a lot about the facets of community livability and just all the results, and really break it down for you what I deem to be a pretty strong response from the community as far as favorability and what it is in Broken Arrow as a community as a whole. So at this point, I will hand it over to Mr. Barnett.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, I'm happy to be here to present a summary of the findings from the Broken Arrow National Community Survey. Before I begin, on behalf of myself and my Polko co-workers, I'd like to thank Aaron McCullough, who are our primary contact throughout the survey development and implementation process. He provided thoughtful and detailed feedback throughout the project. Polko's online community engagement polling platform provides the information tools local governments and other public sector leaders need. Now, hundreds of organizations nationwide use Polko for strategic planning, budgeting, and empowering resident voices. We make civil verified community engagement online not only possible, but accessible. The National Research Center at Polko gives local governments and other public sector organizations the data they need to make more informed decisions. Since 1994, we've worked with hundreds of jurisdictions nationwide. NRC is best known for our national benchmarking surveys, such as the National Community Survey, the National Employee Survey, and the Community Assessment Survey for older adults, among others. Our benchmark database is the largest of its kind in the United States. Polko and NRC merged in 2019 to more effectively serve local government and project resident voices. Polko is also an exclusive partner with the International City Counter Managers Association and the National League of Cities. And we also work closely with the engaged local government leaders, the Alliance for Innovation, and many academic partners, including the American Association for Public Opinion Research, the University of Wisconsin-Madison, the Hoover Institute at Stanford University, and the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Before we dive into the results, I want to emphasize that there are a variety of ways these results can be used. Most commonly, the jurisdictions we work with use their survey data to monitor trends in resident opinion over time, to measure government performance and ratings of public trust, and to inform budgeting processes and strategic plans. Our results also allow you to benchmark your community's specific characteristics and services against those same characteristics within other communities in our benchmark database. Our hope is that as these findings are presented, it will spur ideas for you in what could be done with these results or where you may want to dig deeper. The National Community Survey, or the NCS, is a standardized 5-page comprehensive survey that allows municipalities to assess resident opinion about their community and local government. The NCS focuses on the livability of Broken Arrow by categorizing survey questions into 10 main facets of community livability as shown here. These facets have been identified through extensive survey research as those that are most impactful to residents' quality of life. The NCS includes items within each of these 10 facets to provide a full picture of how residents feel about their community. Finally, these facets also tend to align with municipal departments, making it easy for city staff to quickly find the information that is of the most importance to them in the final report of results. This was the first time conducting this version of the NCS for Broken Arrow. All residents within Broken Arrow were eligible to participate in the survey. Links to the survey were publicized by the city beginning on January 29th, 2024, and the survey remained open for about 5 weeks. The links were publicized using various methods, including emails to city subscribers, social media posts, and push notifications, among others. The online survey was hosted on Polko and available in both English and Spanish. A total of 3,938 completed surveys were received from these efforts, with 92% of respondents reporting living in Broken Arrow. If this were a true scientifically sampled survey, the margin of error would be closer to 1.5%. However, since this was a non-probability survey, we suggest using the industry standard margin of error of plus or minus 5 percentage points. We then compared the demographic profile of survey respondents to that of adults in Broken Arrow using the most recent Census and American Community Survey data and weighted the survey results. Weighting is a survey research best practice and helps to improve the representativeness of your survey results. One of the advantages to a local government of participating in our community surveys is the opportunity to compare ratings given by your residents to those from communities across the nation. NRC was the first organization to conceive of the idea to create benchmarks of public opinion. This allows jurisdictions to compare ratings of services to ratings of similar services from other communities. There are currently about 500 communities in our database. We'll now move into an overview of the survey results. In the survey, we have 2 questions that ask directly about those 10 facets of community livability we touched on earlier. The first asks residents to rate the quality of each, and you can see the resulting comparison to the national benchmark in the shading on the chart. The second question asks about the same facets of livability, but is centered on how important residents think it is for the community to focus on each facet in the coming 2 years. So we ask about both the quality and importance of each of these facets, and we use those answers to create the quality importance matrix, which we'll see on the next slide. We use this chart, which is also included in the report, to help determine which areas are of relatively higher importance and lower quality to residents. Those are located in the lower right quadrant as denoted by the star. This chart is one of many ways to interpret your data and can be used to identify key findings and help a community determine which areas may need additional focus or resource allocation in the coming years, and which others are performing well by comparison. We see utilities as an example of an area where the relative quality at 60% overall and importance at 92% overall indicate to us a potential area of opportunity. Whereas safety, which received 83% positive for the overall quality and 93% importance, indicates to us that it is a major strength of Broken Arrow. Further, ratings for safety-related items and services were incredibly positive, reinforcing the Broken Arrow as a safe community and well taken care of. Of the 123 survey items for which residents provided evaluative ratings, 19 received ratings higher than the national benchmark, 2 of which were actually much higher. 84 received similar ratings and 3 received lower ratings. Ratings are considered similar if they are within 10 points of the national average, and higher or lower if they are more than 10 points different from the average. Items that were much higher were more than 20 points above the benchmark. The items that were much higher were residents would recommend living in Broken Arrow to someone who asked, and the vibrancy of the downtown commercial area. A couple of the lower were drinking water and bus or transit services. Moving now into the highlights of our findings, I do want to point a few items that stood out to us as survey researchers. There's a lot of additional data in the full report that we won't cover today, but today's presentation will focus on a few areas that we found to be most noteworthy within Broken Arrow survey results. The first of our key findings was that the economy in Broken Arrow is an asset and a priority. The economy in Broken Arrow received praise from residents, with many items scoring higher than national averages, and residents indicated that it is a top priority for the city, with nearly 9 in 10 labeling the overall economic health as essential or very important for Broken Arrow to focus on in the coming 2 years. The vibrancy of the downtown commercial area, which scored much higher than comparison communities, and the overall quality of business and service establishments were given high marks from roughly 8 in 10 residents. About 3/4 positively rated Broken Arrow as a place to work, while a slightly smaller proportion gave similar ratings to the variety of business and service establishments, the economic development, and Broken Arrow as a place to visit. Both shopping and employment opportunities were given ratings higher than the national averages, as well as cost of living, each receiving praise from more than half of residents. In a question unique to Broken Arrow's survey, residents were asked whether they would support a 3% increase on the lodging tax levied on rent received from guests staying in hotels and motels in Broken Arrow. The funds received from this increase would be used for marketing and advertising to promote Broken Arrow. Responses were mixed, with 51% reporting that they would strongly or somewhat support the increase, while roughly 49% would strongly or somewhat oppose. The second of our key findings was that while the ease of travel in Broken Arrow is generally viewed favorably, residents have concerns around public transportation. In general, ratings for the ease of travel within Broken Arrow were on par with national averages. Roughly 2/3 of respondents gave high marks to the ease of travel by car, while about half gave similar ratings to the ease of public parking and the ease of walking. Around 4 in 10 considered the traffic flow on major streets excellent or good, and about 1/3 gave similar ratings to the ease of travel by bicycle. However, ratings around public transportation indicate a potential area of opportunity. Roughly 2 in 10 residents praised the city's bus or transit services and the ease of travel by public transportation. Further, just 3% reported using public transportation instead of driving over the past 12 months. In a series of questions unique to Broken Arrow's survey, residents were first asked how important they felt it was for the city to continue to focus efforts on increasing connectivity by making improvements to existing sidewalks and adding new sidewalks where none exist. Residents reported strong support, with 44% reporting it as essential and an additional 32% rating it as very important. In the next question, residents were asked how important it was for the city to continue expanding the trail system around Broken Arrow, as well as enhancing mobility for modes of travel other than motor vehicle. This received strong support as well, with 37% of residents rating it as essential, with an additional 30% giving very important ratings. The third of our key findings was that the city's parks and recreational opportunities are highly valued by residents. Parks and Recreation received strong ratings from residents, with all items scoring on par with national averages. Roughly 3/4 praised the city parks, while a slightly smaller proportion gave high marks to the overall quality of the parks and recreation opportunities and recreation centers or facilities. Around 6 in 10 positively rated the recreation programs or classes, as well as fitness opportunities. A little more than half gave excellent or good ratings for both recreational opportunities and the availability of paths and walking trails. In another custom question for Broken Arrow's survey, residents were asked to rate how important various potential improvements were to them. A new aquatic center received the most support, with 8 in 10 providing strong or somewhat support. New mountain bike trails and new dog parks received similar support from about 2/3 of residents. Pickleball courts received support from a little more than half, and more sand volleyball courts received the least support, with just half reporting positive ratings. In the next series of custom questions related to Parks and Recreation, residents were first asked to rate how important it would be to install artificial turf baseball fields at the Indian Springs Sports Complex and new artificial turf softball fields at the Arrowhead Sports Complex for youth leagues as an attraction to host regional tournaments, minimize cancellations due to inclement weather, and reduce maintenance costs. Residents did not provide strong support for this item, with only about 1/3 responding that they would strongly or somewhat support the turf fields. In the next question, residents were asked how important it would be to have a community center in the southwest part of Broken Arrow in Eden Park. This idea received slightly better support than the turf fields, with about 46% strongly or somewhat supporting the idea. The fourth of our key findings was that residents give high marks to aspects of Broken Arrow's community design. Broken Arrow's community design received high praise in many areas, with more than a few receiving ratings higher than the national averages. More than 8 in 10 gave high marks to their neighborhood as a place to live, while about 3/4 applauded the overall appearance, the latter of which scored higher than comparison communities. About 2/3 positively rated the preservation of the historical or cultural character and public places where people want to spend time. The overall design or layout of residential and commercial areas and the overall quality of new development received excellent or good ratings from around 6 in 10 residents, both surpassing the national benchmarks. Around half of residents provided positive reviews for well-designed neighborhoods, the variety of housing options, and well-planned commercial growth, while a slightly smaller proportion gave similar ratings to well-planned residential growth. The availability of affordable quality housing received strong ratings from just 4 in 10 residents. However, it was still higher than the current national averages. Later in the survey, residents were asked how much they would support improvements to various facilities in Broken Arrow. The Senior Center Annex, and Veterans Center received the most support, with about 9 in 10 reporting that they would strongly or somewhat support improvements. The Military History Center was next, with 86% providing similar ratings, followed by the Museum Broken Arrow, the Community Playhouse, and then the Brown Kimbrough Center for Arts, Innovation, and Creativity. Next of our key findings were that while ratings for utilities are strong, residents point to drinking water as an area of opportunity. Most items related to utilities in Broken Arrow received scores on par with national averages. However, drinking water fell below. Roughly 8 in 10 praised Broken Arrow's garbage collection, while around 7 in 10 provided similar ratings for sewer services, power utility, and stormwater management. About 6 in 10 gave high marks for the overall quality of the utility infrastructure and utility billing. While drinking water received ratings from a similar proportion, it fell below national averages, indicating a potential area of opportunity. In a set of questions unique to Broken Arrow's survey related to utilities, residents were first asked how much they would support spending tax dollars to relocate overhead power lines underground. This idea was strongly supported by residents, with 57% reporting they would strongly support this, and an additional 32% would somewhat support. The next question asked residents how important it would be for the city to continue to invest in projects to improve stormwater management and drainage issues. Much like the previous item, this received strong support from residents as well, with 54% reporting they would strongly support continuing the investment, and an additional 33% would somewhat support. The last of our key findings was that ratings for governance are strong in Broken Arrow, contributing to the high quality of life experienced by residents. Residents applauded the leadership in Broken Arrow, with all items either on par or higher than comparison communities. More than 8 in 10 praised the overall customer service by Broken Arrow emergency dispatch employees, and around 3/4 gave similar ratings to the overall customer service by Broken Arrow employees. Roughly 7 in 10 gave high marks to the public information services and treating residents with respect. The overall direction that Broken Arrow is taking received excellent or good scores from about 2/3 of residents, scoring higher than national averages. A slightly smaller proportion applauded the city for treating all residents fairly, being honest, generally acting in the best interest of the community, informing residents about issues facing the community, and being open and transparent. The latter two surpassed national benchmarks as well. More than half of residents positively rated their overall confidence in Broken Arrow government, on par with comparison communities. The strong leadership in Broken Arrow likely contributes to the high quality of life experienced by residents. At least 8 in 10 praised Broken Arrow as a place to live, the overall quality of life, and the overall image or reputation, which the latter scored higher than comparison communities. Also surpassing national benchmarks, roughly 9 in 10 residents reported that they plan to remain in Broken Arrow for the next 5 years and would recommend living in Broken Arrow to someone who asked. In conclusion, the economy in Broken Arrow is an asset and a priority. While ease of travel in Broken Arrow is generally viewed favorably, residents have concerns around public transportation. The city's parks and recreational opportunities are highly valued by residents. Residents give high marks to aspects of Broken Arrow's community design. While ratings for utilities are strong, residents point to drinking water as an area of opportunity, and ratings for governance are strong in Broken Arrow, contributing to the high quality of life experienced by residents. If you wish to dig deeper to find out more about the opinions and perceptions of residents, you can continue to engage with your community on Polko. Polko's Engage module is included as a part of your current subscription. Engage includes various resident feedback tools, including customizable polls, surveys, and live events. Questions within these tools can include maps, images, videos, or links to better inform respondents. The Polko library is also included as a part of the Engage module and contains curated surveys and polls created by survey scientists at Polko. You can use these as they are, look around for inspiration, or make a copy of a survey and customize it to fit your needs. Alternatively, if you have a survey or poll in mind, you can create one from scratch and reach out to your subscribers for feedback. You do not have to do this all on your own. The Engage module provides you with access to a dedicated customer success manager and survey researcher who are here to help you along the way. I'd like to open it up for questions.
Any questions?
No. We're awesome.
That is not, can you put that in a form of a question?
Don't you think we're awesome?
I think, yes, I would agree. I think Aaron nailed it whenever he was going over these results with us, the kind of the few things that could use improvement we're already addressing, so that's pretty amazing, so.
I do have a question, and you will not get this, Brandon, but everyone else in the room will. What kind of dog do you have?
The one that is with me is a German Shepherd mix.
Okay.
And then we have another German Shepherd upstairs who is allowed to roam free because the one that's with me does not have an off switch.
Got it. All right.
I have some thoughts if I can, Mayor. I want to share. Aaron, what did you want to share something with the council?
After you do, I want to just pull up the website, the dashboard that we're going to put online later this evening for the community to be able to see.
Why don't you show that right now, because mine's more of next steps.
Okay. So this is the dashboard that Volco provided to us, and it does do a little bit deeper dive. So Brandon really was at that 30,000 foot level there for you. And so what this is going to allow you to do is, if you scroll down just a little bit today. So in the upper left there, you're going to see this facet drop down. That's one of the things that Brandon talked about, those 10 facets of community livability. There's a few more in there as well. If you'll click on governance there, Dave, appreciate it. What that's going to do is each of these different facets, those questions and responses that were related to that category are then going to be filled in here. The community is going to be able to go in and do a little bit deeper dive, get a little bit more granular with these responses. If you click on being honest in the form in there, you'll see that it had a 58%. It's about the fourth one down. It had a 58% positive response, and that means that 58% responded either excellent or good. There was also fair and poor. And so if you'll scroll down just a little bit more, you can see it shows similar there as well. Keep going down, keep going down. We're going to get to this overview and benchmarking results, and this is where it shows you the question breakdown, excellent, good, fair, poor. So you know the 58% of the community says we're being honest with them. You have to throw out fair. That's a neutral. So you can't, it can be interpreted either positive or negative, or they just don't have an opinion. And then the poor is 18. So what that tells you there is that only 18% of those who responded, or if you look at that margin of error, as he said, it's at 5, but if we were to have done the scientific portion of it, probably closer to 2, you'd be looking at about 82 to 84% or only 18, either 16 or 20% say that we're not being honest with them. So if you're going to look at that positive, you need to look at that negative as well too, that poor, so you can see the difference there. The national benchmark just lets you know that we're at 58%, which is similar, like he was saying earlier. And we have a rank of 51 out of 200 communities that took this survey and answered a similar type question. The community and you are going to be able to do this on every single question that was on the survey. And as you know, it was a very comprehensive survey, 17, 20 minutes, depending upon how quickly and how much thought you put into it. And so it's really good data for folks to be able to go through and look. And then if you scroll down just a little bit more, Dave, we'll get into the demographics, and this is where you can look to see who thought favorably or who thought negatively. And you can do that either by income, all the different demographic drop down. With that demographic drop down, there's income, there's gender, there's age, households with children, households without. So it really breaks it down for you so you can see who thought what. And like I said, this will be available. As a matter of fact, when this meeting is over, I'll go push the button, and then it'll be live on our site for folks, and then we'll start putting out some messaging tomorrow on it.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of Council, I appreciate your time last week and this week. Obviously, what are the next steps, and how are we going to use the data that so many of our residents actually took the time to complete? I want to thank Brandon for his overview. I know that Aaron and him have worked very, very hard. He's did a lot of work to actually help us put everything together. So I just want to acknowledge and appreciate your efforts, Brandon, for helping with putting together the survey. So I try to keep it real simple, is that the survey, as I say, was really made up of two parts. It was what I call how are you doing, or how are we doing, and secondly is it's helping us prepare for the next general obligation bond package. And so, as Aaron mentioned briefly, is that we're going to implement a public education campaign on the results, make sure all the residents, first and foremost, know where it's at, how they can get to it, and so they'll have an opportunity to go in, because obviously the council members and administration will be sharing these results with the community, and we want to be able to say, if you can go look at it for yourself, to reinforce what we're saying. And so that'll be one of the number one points, is here's where it's at, here's how you can use it. And then secondly is we're going to go out and talk about those results, because so many people replied. We think that those people deserve to hear how we did, where we were strong, and where there's some areas for opportunity. So Aaron has shared on my behalf the survey with the directors, because obviously, as you heard from the high-level presentation, there are some areas that we are very, very strong, and there's a few areas, while there weren't anything of real concern, there are still some areas that we can do better. And so the directors were informed that in the areas that we were very strong, those directors are going to be tasked to come up with recommendations on how we can maintain that level of expectation from the public. And then for those areas where there's some opportunities, the directors are going to be asked to come up with some recommendations on how we could, if we did this again in a reasonable period of time, because if you took the survey again in a couple of months, you might not get much different results. But if we pronounce what we're going to do, the public is aware of that. If we did this again in a couple of years or less, people could tangibly see that these are the improvements that we made with the way we operate and serve them. And so the directors are probably going to take the next 6 months to review that. And then my plan is to come back with the council with to show you some of the areas that what we're going to do to maintain, and some of the areas that also we think there's some opportunities. And I want to encourage all the council members, because I know you're all going to take some time to go through this. If you see something that stands out to you, to let Lori Hill or myself know, or Aaron, and then that way we can make sure we hone in on those with the directors. And I think you'd look at it as really for the directors. I know they're all very excited, because obviously they're the same as all of you and myself, as they want to better serve the citizens. And so I feel really good about the engagement we're going to have. And the second part was the bond package. And I think from the comments that we received, we got some really good information for possible projects for the bond package to be considered. As I mentioned just briefly, the goal is to present the total package to the council probably in June of next year. So really just about 15 months or so. Aaron and I think we need to drill down a little further by asking some additional questions on some of the responses, and actually even going in and mentioning, for example, these are some of the roads that we believe need to be either intersections that need to be actually upgraded, or roads need to be widened, and get some more specific feedback from the community in a couple of smaller surveys, so that way we can get those results. And so as Charlie's team starts to build the package, we'll have really good data that we can take to council. And then secondly is that when we go to have the public meetings in late summer of next year, we'll put the stations together. People that'll show up, three or four different meetings, got their Post-it notes. Here's what the survey, we'll explain all this to the public in a quick, just a quick briefing, and then we'll send everybody out to the various stations like we did, so they can determine where they would like to see. And the other thing is, you notice we got very strong feedback for the community groups and the buildings that they use, and how important those are, which really helps and create better quality of life. And so I was extremely pleased, because it confirmed what I've been thinking, is there was going to be strong support continue to support those facilities which we have user group agreements. And so I wanted to see if the council members, either tonight or anytime soon, if you have other suggestions, but really the directors and myself are going to work on how we can maintain this quality of life and get better, and start drilling down even further about what projects, because it is really going to be competitive for the dollars that are going to be available. I mean, the cost of everything now is much higher, obviously, than it was in 2018. So therefore, $283 million to $350 million of a no tax rate increase sounds like a lot. But when you look at what the cost of it is for widening a mile or upgrading an intersection, building a building, a lot of those is much higher. It's going to be incredibly competitive. And so I want to make sure that it's really the citizens bond package I know, because that's what council's goal was. It's their package, and the only way to do that is to engage with them. So, and the last thing was, I was happy that majority of the people said that they would be in favor of looking at the tourism, the hotel motel tax, and that's without even going in there with a plan to show that the money would be used primarily to help promote the amphitheater. And so that wasn't a part of the question, but we do know that it's going to be open sometime next summer. And so the tourism board has a little bit of time to look at when that opens and how we might have a strategy. If we did ask that question, would that be something the community would support to help promote bringing more people into our city to support our businesses? So I know that's a broad overview, but that's really the plan going forward is to build upon the success, tout the success, but say we're not going to tout too much. We're going to get back to work and seeing how we can maintain what's going on and build upon it.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Is there any action? Just accept, we just need to make a motion to accept the results.
I'll make a motion that we accept the results of this citizen survey.
Second?
We have a motion and a second, roll call.
There's no buttons.
Who had the second? Sorry.
I did. Christie?
Green,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Gillespie,
Yes.
Wimpy.
Yes. Any remarks or updates by governing body members or city manager?
No, ma'am.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion and a second, roll call.
Green,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Gillespie,
Yes.
Wimpy.
Yes.